So One Village Partners builds the capacity of rural communities to lead their own development. And we have three interconnected programs that together build toward inclusive leadership, social cohesion, gender equity, and resilience to improve well-being for everybody in the communities. And so these three programs, the first is the Community Action Program. And in that program, we train volunteer leaders as change agents so they can mobilize their communities effectively. And through that process, this group of leaders works with their villages to identify their most pressing problems and then design and implement projects that address these problems.
Wow. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Our second program is the Nurturing Opportunities for Women program. And this program teaches participants basic financial principles, planning, decision making, and business skills so that they can manage their finances through the year to reach their goals. And then our final program is our newest program called LEAD. And the purpose of the LEAD program is to create a platform to amplify community-led leadership. So this project allows rural leaders to enhance their leadership skills, connect with one another, and execute collaborative development projects by submitting grant applications to One Village Partners. And that was developed because communities asked us to help provide them with experience in grant writing and grant management.
Interesting. That's awesome. And why is it that community-led is so important in your work?
I mean, there are a lot of reasons, but I mean, I think first and foremost, the experience of those who are living in the region where we want to make an impact is the best informed. They are best informed about their own day-to-day challenges and opportunities. And so we really see our role as being a partner to them and being able to support them in the vision that they see for a thriving rural community and for their own lives. And I mean, I think kind of secondary to that is just the sustainability of it. I mean, coming in true partnership and working in collaboration with local communities so that they can really own the project and the results is going to result in more sustainable projects. And I think finally, just like doing development with dignity, like nobody wants to be told what to do. And I feel really strongly that our platform is a way that invites people in true partnership and does not overstep, we don't come in as the experts. We have something to offer through the partnership and communities do as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And then you have a program called the Now program, if I understood that correctly. Okay.
Correct.
Why is that geared towards women and what makes that so important? That factor.
Well, it's pretty widely cited that women are a great investment. I think it's the World Bank that said that for every dollar invested in them, women will reinvest 90 cents of that in their families and communities. Yeah. So we know that getting money in the hands of women is a great thing for development. Yeah. And in Lalonde district where we work, we know that about 70% of women are employed, and it's mostly in agriculture. So one of the challenges we're really trying to address here is not necessarily a lack of access to income, which is another issue, but rather lack of control of income. And so to do that, we really, we work specifically with women on enhancing their skills, but then also working with their entire family, including their spouse or a male relative, so that they can utilize their skills. We've measured that less than half of married employed women in the district where we work can decide how their own cash earnings are used. Okay. And so when we include the male member participating in our trainings and learnings and making sure that they're involved so that they don't feel like they feel included as well, even if their wives are the ones that are going through the program, we see a measurable increase in women's decision-making power within their households. Mm-hmm. And then in the wider community, we see a measurable increase in women's participation in community activities and speaking up in meetings. So we're trying to, we work specifically through targeting women because it has a broader impact on development overall.
Got it. And can you say a little bit more, just a little more detail on what it meant by how they control that? Is that in terms of where money is allocated for the family, or what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, exactly. So being able to be a joint decision maker or a sole decision maker about where the household income is spent. And so women are primarily, I mean, in our Now program, the first goal that most women have said it's more than 50%. Their goal is to save money for their children's education. So we know that they're investing in productive ways and not in consumables.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it really is very empowering to have that at your fingertips to be able to make those decisions and see a tangible result, like sending your child to school, for example. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's really neat. Um, how you've touched on this a little bit, but could you say more about how One Village Partners is different from a traditional humanitarian aid organization?
Well, there are, I think, a couple ways where we differentiate ourselves. I'd say one is the extent to which we're community led.
Mm.
So, organizations can kind of fall anywhere on a spectrum of getting community input into what they're doing versus handing over full decision making authority to the communities where they're working. And we really strive toward the latter of those. And we always are learning, and there's so much more that we have identified and want to do in this, and breaking down barriers so that communities are truly leading, not just in programs, which we've done a good job, I think, with that, but we're trying to really invest in how communities can influence and be a voice in our organizational strategy and the governance of our organization. So I'd say one of the ways we're different is the extent to which we're community led and kind of pushing to be more community led.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd say secondly, and this kind of goes hand in hand with the community leadership piece, is just being really agile and localized.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, with COVID-19, that was, I think, a good example of, like, we have the trust, we have a network and the social cohesion and social capital in the communities where we're working, and we are able to quickly adapt and respond when there is a need for that. And so we were able to, I mean, we paused operations last year because there were lockdowns and we weren't able to move anyway. But then as soon as people were, it was only a couple months into the pandemic that people were able to get back to the office and who are implementing area and say, like, what do people need? Like, where are the gaps here? How are people staying safe? And we could quickly get in and provide learning, and especially information on, like, misinformation of COVID-19 and, like, combating that to more than 25,000 people. And we could do that relatively quickly just because we're nimble.